We've all seen the images: a quiet morning in Rome's Colosseum, a silent walk along the ramparts of Dubrovnik, a sun-drenched photo beneath the Eiffel Tower without a soul in sight. We imagine history frozen in time, waiting just for us, a private connection to Europe's past. But what if that dream is more fiction than fact? Because the truth? Europe's most celebrated UNESCO World Heritage sites are not what you think. They're overcrowded, overstressed, and in many cases, on the brink of losing what made them special in the first place. In this video, we'll go beyond the picture-perfect brochure. We'll explore the hidden challenges behind some of Europe's most iconic places and uncover the uncomfortable realities shaping their future. This is about more than monuments. It's about overtourism, disappearing communities, and fragile ecosystems. It's about how good intentions can still leave a mark, and how you, the traveler, have more power than you think. And if you're someone who believes travel should mean something more, go ahead, like and subscribe for deeper stories and real-world insights from across the globe. Now let's step inside the world of Europe's most misunderstood landmarks. The first truth is this: some places are being loved into destruction. Take Dubrovnik, Croatia. Declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. After becoming King's Landing in Game of Thrones, its fame exploded. The result? Nearly 27 tourists for every single resident. And cruise ships that disgorge thousands into a tiny walled city each day. Authorities had to step in, limiting ship arrivals and capping visitor numbers, just to protect the ancient cobbled lanes from collapsing under the weight. In Seville, Spain, the Alcazar and cathedral attract millions yearly. But behind the scenes, a rental gold rush has driven locals out of their historic homes. In 2025, the city has implemented new rules. Short-term rental owners must get approval from 60% of their neighbors. A radical move giving residents a say in how their community is changing. The lesson: UNESCO status brings fame, but fame brings crowds, and crowds change everything. If you want to travel responsibly, visit in April, May, September, or October when the crowds thin. Wake early, wander the side streets, and spend your money where it truly counts, in the small family-run businesses that keep these cities alive. UNESCO towns often look authentic. But the second truth is this: what you see isn't always real. In Český Krumlov, Czech Republic, you'll find one of Europe's best-preserved medieval towns, but also one of its most hollowed out. With only 13,000 residents, the town receives nearly 2 million visitors a year, and most are day trippers. The result? Traditional shops are replaced with identical souvenir stalls. Locals are pushed out to the suburbs, and the city center feels more like a Renaissance movie set than a living town. This isn't preservation, it's performance. An illusion created to feed the camera. But authenticity does exist if you're willing to linger. Most tourists leave by 5 p.m., so stay overnight. Walk the quiet cobbled alleys at dusk. Dine at a restaurant still cooking from century-old recipes. And talk to the people whose stories go beyond the brochure. Because true travel isn't just about collecting photos. It's about rediscovering the human heartbeat beneath the stone. UNESCO protects more than cities. It also safeguards nature. but even the wildest places are under siege. In Plitvice Lakes National Park, Croatia, a breathtaking chain of 16 cascading lakes. The magic comes from delicate limestone dams, built slowly by moss and algae over thousands of years. But this fragile ecosystem is on the edge. A boom in tourism, combined with illegal construction and wastewater pollution, is interrupting the natural process that forms these lakes. Even the iconic Great Waterfall has run partially dry. UNESCO has now warned Plitvice that it may be moved to the list of World Heritage in Danger, a rare and serious classification. The lesson: every footstep, even on a boardwalk, leaves a trace. And every hotel, every restaurant demands water and power, often at nature's cost. So be a guardian, not a guest. Stay on marked paths. Use eco-certified guides and hotels. And treat the place not as a destination, but as a living miracle entrusted to your care. UNESCO aims to protect culture. But sometimes, in preserving the place, we lose the people who gave it life. In Matera, Italy, you'll find the Sassi, ancient cave dwellings carved from stone. It's one of the world's oldest continuously inhabited places. But by the mid-20th century, it was a place of deep poverty, known as the shame of Italy. In the 1950s, the government forcibly relocated its residents. Decades later, artists moved in. Then came UNESCO status in 1993. Today, the caves are boutique hotels and fine dining spaces. A triumph? In some ways, yes. But the descendants of those who once lived here can no longer afford to return. The area now caters largely to wealthy tourists and outside investors. To honor a place like this, don't just admire its beauty. Engage with its story. Visit a Casa Grotto, a preserved cave showing how life once was. Take a tour with a guide whose grandparents lived in the caves. Stay in a guest house run by people rooted in Matera's past. Because real respect means understanding the whole story: poverty, abandonment, and rebirth. If you're finding this honest look behind the postcard valuable, hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help this message reach more curious travelers. Here's the biggest illusion of all: UNESCO isn't just Rome, Paris, or Barcelona. There are over 1,000 World Heritage sites across the globe, and hundreds in Europe alone. But we all keep going to the same 10. Meanwhile, quieter treasures wait in the shadows. And they often tell stories just as rich, if not richer, than the blockbusters. And here are few alternatives for you. In Latvia's west lies Kuldīga, a town so charming it's called the Nordic Venice. Here, wooden houses lean over cobbled streets, and the Venta Rapid, Europe's widest waterfall, spreads across the river like a natural curtain. Unlike Venice, you won't be elbow to elbow with tourists. Kuldīga joined the UNESCO list in 2023, yet few outside the Baltics have even heard of it. In spring, you might witness a sight that feels almost mythical. Hundreds of fish leaping upstream over the waterfall, a natural phenomenon locals call the flying fish. This town is not just pretty, it's alive with traditions, artists, and a rhythm untouched by mass tourism. In central Italy sits Urbino, a hilltop Renaissance town most travelers skip for Florence or Venice. But step inside, and you'll find a city that shaped the very idea of beauty. This was the home of Raphael, one of the greatest painters in history. Its Palazzo Ducale was once the cultural heartbeat of Europe. A palace designed not for war, but for art, philosophy, and science. This is a place where history isn't frozen. It's breathing right beside you. Just a short drive from Split lies Trogir, a tiny island city that feels like a medieval time capsule. With roots stretching back over 2,300 years, it's one of Europe's best preserved small towns. The old city, only 500 meters long and 250 meters wide, is so compact you can walk across it in minutes. Its Cathedral of St. Lawrence, with a carved portal dating back to 1240, is a masterpiece hiding in plain sight. The surprise? While Dubrovnik strains under mass tourism, Trogir often slips under the radar. Here you can sip coffee in the square where locals still gather, climb the old fortress tower for Adriatic views, and hear echoes of centuries when Greeks, Romans, and Venetians all called this place home. It's not just a museum, it's a living city. Small enough to feel intimate, yet vast enough in history to astonish. So what's the takeaway? The solution to overtourism isn't to stop traveling. It's to travel smarter, to spread out, to be more curious. Instead of fighting for a selfie in Paris, you could be walking the quiet streets of Kuldīga. Instead of waiting hours in Florence, you could be standing in Urbino on the very streets where Raphael once walked. And instead of crowding Dubrovnik's walls, you could wander through Trogir, an entire medieval city preserved on an island the size of a neighborhood. You don't just avoid the lines, you rediscover the thrill of discovery itself. So, what is the real story behind Europe's UNESCO sites? They are more than landmarks. They are mirrors reflecting how we interact with history, with nature, and with each other. They show us that even good intentions, like cultural admiration, can bring unintended harm. In Dubrovnik, streets buckle under the weight of tourism. In Český Krumlov, authenticity is traded for aesthetics. In Plitvice, waterfalls vanish because of our footprints. In Matera, rebirth means displacement. And in Kuldiga, treasures go unseen simply because they're not trending. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can travel with more awareness. Visit off-season, support local communities. Walk a little farther, ask deeper questions, and maybe look somewhere no one else is looking. Because the future of these places is not written in stone. It's written in our choices. Have you ever arrived at a place and found it wasn't what you imagined? Or discovered something extraordinary, precisely because no one told you to go there? We'd love to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. And if you believe in travel that's more thoughtful, more curious, and more real, subscribe now and join us on the next journey. Because next time, we're uncovering Europe's most incredible hidden gems. Places that aren't just worth seeing, they're worth protecting.